welcome to join me at this masterclass, and it's a celebratory masterclass about 10 lessons on building unshakable confidence from 2 years of me being my own boss. 2 years ago today, I put in my resignation and left corporate career. And now 2 years later, I have been on this incredible journey, and this journey has been way more challenging than I ever imagined. And at the same time, it's way more rewarding than I ever imagined. I have been challenged, stretched, and elevated more than ever. And it's really a process of becoming the best version of myself and becoming more authentic, more confident, and more capable than ever. It's really a process of building unshakable confidence. So what I want to share is that a lot of times we think, oh, you know what? Once you are on your own, building your business, and you being your own boss, you're going to feel like a boss. But that's not necessarily the case. And there were many moments I didn't feel like a boss. I felt very insecure, very lost, and very anxious. And I didn't feel like I really was trusting myself fully and knowing what to do. So ultimately, it's about building this confidence. So confidence is not just a feeling. It's not just, oh, I feel confident. Yes, it's a feeling, but there's something underneath that. It's deeper belief. It's this fundamental belief in yourself and in your ability to handle life's challenges, make decisions, and pursue your goals with a sense of assurance and self-trust. So confidence, it's not just a feeling. It's a profound sense of belief in yourself. And also confidence, it's not just innate capability. It's a muscle, and it's a practice. The good news with that is it's a practice, it's a muscle. That means you can build it. And confidence also is not about being perfect and being fearless. You're going to have a lot of fear along the way, and you are going to be imperfect along the way. But it's really about trusting yourself to figure things out, even when life gets tough and messy. So today I'm going to share with you the 10 hard-earned lessons during this journey. Really, most of these insights and learnings didn't come from success. And really came from doing the hard things, facing doubts, and embracing failures. Sharing these lessons with you, so hopefully it will help you to build that kind of unshakable confidence that fuels your dreams, aligns with your purpose, and really transforms your life. Are you ready? Great. Okay, let's start with lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 is, wherever you go, there you are. Have you ever heard this phrase? And what this phrase really means is that it's ultimately confidence is an inside job. It's not about changing the external circumstances. It's about ultimately change you. So have you ever felt that when you're frustrated or stressed or burned out, and then you just thought, if I change my job or change my location or change my relationship, then it will fix everything? That was my thought. When I left corporate, at that point, I was very much burned out by the pressure, the stress, and the demanding bosses and toxic work environment, all of that. And I thought, once I become my own boss, building my own business, guess what? Everything will be great. Then I won't have all those problems. But it turned out not true. Not true at all. Less than a year and a half in, and I burned myself out. At that point, I really couldn't blame my boss anymore, or the work environment and the corporate America. No, I was my own boss and I burned myself out. And it turned out I was my own demanding boss. So what's going on, right? The real problem, it was me. It's because I haven't really changed my certain unhealthy habitual patterns. And I have multiple different patterns, but one I'm going to talk about here, it is this perfectionism tendency. The perfectionism tendency is that I always feel like I need to over-prepare, overwork, and overdo to not to make mistakes. And also just deep sense of that never enough. Just no matter how much I do and how good I do, just like you feel never enough. And that belief drove me to work long hours. Let me give you a few examples. It took me hours to edit newsletters at the beginning. The first few podcasts I produced, really short episode, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and it took me 8 hours to produce and edit because I couldn't tolerate even one single mistake. I was producing online videos, and those videos, short 5 minutes videos, I would do 20 takes because if there was one minor mistake, and I would then do another take and I want to do it again. And just with that, and I just work constantly. And I was doing a lot of different things. And I was networking, posting on social media, and I was sending out email newsletters and meeting new people, constantly doing all things. And a close friend of mine watched all of that and told me, saying, "Hey, Coco, wow, you're doing so much." And guess what? In the back of my mind, I was thinking, I'm not doing it enough. It's not enough. And because of that perfectionism tendency and just this underlying belief somehow just never enough drove me to overwork. I just put so much pressure on myself, right? Until I changed that tendency. First of all, until I realized that's what's going on. You can only change when you have that sense of awareness. So once aware, then I started to make changes and really shift my belief about myself. Is that I am doing enough. Enough is enough. And there's no such a thing as perfection. It's okay to make mistakes. And there's also no such a thing as mistake. The mistake is all in my head. So with that, everything changed. And now, since the beginning of the year, I just became so much more relaxed. I still do a lot, but I just feel completely differently. And so that's the lesson. The lesson is you can change your external circumstances. And I changed this external circumstances in a drastic way. But I didn't change my internal pattern, this habitual pattern, this subconscious limiting belief that I have. And so I still ended up in the same place. So I want to challenge you to really figure out what are some habitual patterns that you have drive you to feel a certain way, to feel frustrated, drained, or stressed. And you really want to work on changing that. And don't rely on changing external circumstances because the fix is only short-term. It's short-lived. Very much if you want to have a long-term lasting impact, you need to change your thoughts, your patterns, your habits. It's an inside job. So there's some resources that I can offer to help you to address those underlying patterns and habits and cycles. And so my podcast on grounded confidence, you can find it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, called Grounded Confidence. Episode 7, it's about, because what I've realized, high achieving individuals tend to have a few tendencies. And the top ones were being very self-critical. Second is perfectionism. The third is people-pleasing. So I have 3 episodes address these tendencies and patterns separately. So episode 7 is about how to transform being self-critical to self-compassion. The second one is episode 31 about perfectionism, break the trap of perfectionism. The episode 33rd is about stop people pleasing. So check those out. I give very specific tools and strategies to help you to work on those. Okay, so that's number 1. Number two lesson is aligned work, energized life. Aligned. When your work is aligned with you, work doesn't feel like work. If you ask me that like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I didn't even fully understand what it meant, because I didn't know what alignment meant, because I never really worked in full alignment. And now I really work more than ever, hours wise and all of that. But I wake up excited every day, and work really doesn't feel like work, and because I enjoy it so much. And I don't just enjoy weekends, I enjoy weekdays, and I don't feel the need to take vacations. I remember when I was in corporate for 20 years, and I never felt that way. A lot of times I felt drained. I enjoyed weekends way more than weekdays. Can you relate? And I needed vacations. Once every 3 months. Like, really needed it desperately to disconnect from my daily life and this routine life that I was living. And as I said, I really didn't even know what the alignment even feel like, because I never experienced it. But what I did feel was that this nagging feeling inside of me just felt like something was off. And also I had to pretend or suppress certain aspects of myself. So if you can relate to that feeling, that means your work is not in full alignment with you. And you really want to move towards alignment. Moving towards alignment doesn't mean leaving corporate America. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. You need to find what's the right alignment for you. Everyone's alignment is different, and you just need to figure out yours. So how do you know what is alignment, right? Aligned work. Aligned work truly reflects your core values, your truest, deepest priorities, and brings you your inside word and your outer actions in harmony. So with that, because then the work reflects who you are, what you believe in, and how you want to live. And then that becomes effortless. So that work just doesn't feel as work anymore. So aligned work is you're more energized. You're energized instead of drained. And you feel proud of how you're showing up. And you really don't have to pretend or suppress parts of yourself. And this is very important. You are not constantly questioning if you're on the right path. When I was in corporate America, multiple, as a crossroads in the career, many points, many years during that journey, I constantly questioned myself. I'm like, am I on the right path? And if you have that question, that means you're not in full alignment. And then, now the question is how, right? How do you start the process of finding the right alignment? It's not a black and white. It's a process. Even for me, transitioning to being a coach and doing what I do today is not necessarily a straight line. And I didn't know it from the get-go, right? It's really follow this. I did a lot of work, and then the one of the foundational work that I did was identifying my core values. And really, core values is your truest, deepest priorities. And that, I have a tool for you as well. I'm trying to make this as practical as possible. So check out my podcast episode 13. What's your definition of success? And in that episode, I basically taught this whole process. There's an exercise you can do. It's a pretty fun exercise to help you to identify your core values. And from there, and you can you're on the right direction, started moving toward alignment. Great. Now, moving on to lesson number 3. This mindset shift from performance to mastery. So what is this performance mindset? Performance mindset is really driven by external validation. It's this sense of that you need to prove that I'm good enough, I'm capable, you are looking for your bosses or coworkers recognition, you want to get high performance evaluation rating, you're looking for promotion. And with underneath all of that, there's this just like have to energy. It's like I have to do something because it's all very much external driven. And versus mastery mindset. Mastery mindset is really driven by internal growth. It is your desire to improve skill. You want to get better at something for yourself. Doesn't matter what other people care or not care, whether it will give you a promotion or not promotion, you don't care. And it's really this deep sense of I want to energy, right? I want to get better at something for myself. And I used to have so much performance energy. And whole pretty much 20 years of my career was just about, I didn't know, obviously, at that point. But looking back, I know it was so much about external validation. It's all about performing to win recognition. And so I give you one example, this major shift when it comes to, let's say, public speaking. Public speaking, that was something that I was really like, I just wanted to hide if I had to do big presentations in front of, at the work, and just dreaded it and just so fearful. And guess what? Because even though it was such a weak area that holding me back from many aspects of my life, but because I was so performance driven and I didn't even put time energy to really work on it, because my presentation skill and my public speaking skill really didn't affect my job performance that much, because I didn't need to present much. And in the the meetings that I have, I could get by. I was fine, So then I didn't have that desire to improve it, even though it was something really holding me back. And because, I didn't need it to get promotion, right? Just climb the corporate ladder. But what changed was the minute when I decided to become, right, to eventually leave corporate America and become a coach and start my own business. And then I activated this mastery mindset. Then I realized, wow, this is a skill that I want to learn. And this is the fear that I want to overcome for myself. And this is something that's crucial for me to build a successful business so that I can have the freedom that I wanted. And really, that's my core value. And core value, freedom is my number one. And once I really connected to my core value of having freedom and master this public speaking skill, and becomes critical. And once that is activated, then guess what? No one can stop me. And I became committed to improve, to work on it, and to show up consistently and get better at it. And because I want to, right? Before it was, I have to get better. I have to present better. I really didn't care much, right? It's a completely different kind of motivation. But once I say, I want to do this for myself, then it's a different game. I show up with a completely different energy. And so that's the difference, performance versus mastery. So what I want you to challenge you to think is that what areas of your life, right? What skills and you really wanted to improve for you versus think about, whether it's really just going to affect my job performance or not, or promotion or not. No. Think about what is something, right? The thing you want to get better something for yourself. What are those things? And this is a perfect segue to lesson number 4. To even identify what are those skills? What are those areas you really wanted to focus on, to master, and to really work on this mastery? And it's lesson number 4 is lean into your insecurity. And your insecurity is really your weak muscle. And then you can really turn that around and become potentially your superpower. For instance, I realized my insecurity. I have many insecurities, but one of the big ones was social anxiety and fear of judgment. You may not tell from the surface, and before, I may look very always, pretty positive, very friendly, outgoing, but inside I was, especially when it comes to being visible and in public in various different ways, right? Public speaking or networking or even just on social media, I felt so small inside. I just felt so shaky inside because I was constantly worried about what others would think of me. Just this fear of judgment and fear of being visible. So you may relate to that. And once I identified that, I realized, I can't be an amazing coach and successful entrepreneur when I'm so afraid of being visible. That's not possible. So that's my insecurity. I need to lean into it. So that's what I did. How do I lean into it? It's a process. It's a really weak muscle. In order to strengthen your weak muscle, what do? You go to the gym, you lift weight gradually, little by little, and go heavier and heavier, eventually you build a strong muscle. So it's the same principle. And I'm going to continue to use the public speaking as an example. So how I build this muscle started with, I joined a Toastmasters club 3 years ago. And if you're not familiar with what Toastmasters is, check it out. It's amazing organization, profit organization that people go to practice their public speaking. It's such a safe and supportive environment for you to work on it. So I joined a club. And then the first few meetings, I was just spoke for 30 seconds and a minute. I just got comfortable with that. And then I started to deliver speeches. The speeches are 5 to 7 minutes long. For the first year, I did 12 speeches, one per month. And each speeches, it took me 2 weeks to prepare. Why it took so long? Because I wrote down a whole script and I memorized it word by word. But that was my process. That was my process of building my muscle. That was the only way I felt comfortable and not making mistakes and being okay with being visible. So that was the first year. Then gradually from there, my speeches got longer. And I no longer write down my script anymore. No more word by word. And I can easily deliver an hour keynote speech without a script. And I'm just able to do that because of the process of starting with memorizing word by word and that repetition week in, week out. And now 3 years later, 100 speeches later, I'm just like transformed. So the process is that it's a decision at the end of the day. You want to build a muscle, you need to decide, this is something I'm going to do because I want to master this skill. And in the process, you are going to feel uncomfortable. Trust me, the first year and a half, every time I go to the meeting and deliver a speech, I felt really uncomfortable. I felt butterflies in my stomach. Sometimes I was thinking, why I'm doing this? Right? And guess what? I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for my freedom. I'm doing it for me so that I can serve other people in a more effective way. Once you face your fear, really need to make the choice to do the hard thing, to embrace your discomfort. And you need to take action. You cannot think your way out of this. Building the muscle, you cannot think, oh, it's just going to grow. No, you need to act your way out of it. So that's what I meant. It's a practice. Also, the key is you need to start small. Start small, baby steps. The smallest steps that stretches you, but while also you are able to complete. And another key is consistency. You need to show up consistently. But once you really tap into that mastery mindset, you do it for you, and then it's easier to be consistent. Then later on you realize, oh, it's not, life doesn't get easier, but it's you getting stronger. It's not there's less fear, less doubt. It's just you are getting more confident in yourself. You are building more self-trust, right, in yourself to overcome those. So that's lesson number 4. Lesson number 5 is also about shifting. It's another mindset shift, and it's a mindset and energy shift. Energy shift is really how people perceive you. This shifting energy from this getting energy to giving energy. So what do I mean by getting energy versus giving energy? So getting energy is really about self-centered. It's about me. It's all about me. What would people think of me? Would they like me? Will I come across well? All those type of things. And giving energy is really about what's in it for them. How can I serve, contribute, and create value? Let me give you a couple of scenarios. Right? So for instance, if you're presenting to a leadership team and, just presenting at work, a lot of times, what are you thinking? That this getting energy, right? It's like, oh, will I say the right thing? Would I come across as calm, confident, or competent? Would they know? Would they think I really know what I'm saying, right? All of those thoughts are getting energy. Once you shift to this giving energy, is more about the audience. Okay, what insight or clarity can I provide that helps the business? Do you see the shift? Once you really shift that, then you become less self-conscious. When you become less self-conscious, guess what? You become more confident and you come across as more confident. Same thing when you go to a networking event and a meeting. If you think, I hope I come across as well, I hope they like me, that was all getting energy. Once you shift to, how can I be of service or create a meaningful connection? Or how can I help and support the other person? Then that shift. So I'll give you a story, a quick story about myself. I recently did my book pre-sale campaign, my book Unchecking the Boxes. And before I launched the pre-sale campaign, I was like in the whole getting energy. I was told this is what I was supposed to do. I need to sell and 200 copies. I need to raise this much money and I need to reach out to this many people. So when I heard all of that, immediately my thought was, oh my gosh, would they buy my book? Would they like me? Would they think this book is useful? What they think about me? All those thoughts, it's all just me. And when I'm in that energy, I really felt so uncomfortable. I felt so much resistance to this campaign. I didn't want to do it. It just didn't feel like aligned with me. And then through the process of being coached and talked to different people and really shifted from the giving energy, it's like, okay, how I can see me promoting the book and asking people to support me, it's giving value. So I was thinking, there are a couple of ways. I really am giving value to people. One is, it's an inspiration. How many people, data shows that 83% of Americans wanted to write a book. Writing a book is on their bucket list. Only 4% of people actually completed. The fact that I'm doing the thing most people wanted but never able to accomplish it, just that alone, it's an incredible accomplishment and a source of inspiration, right? So write that. By promoting my book, ask people to support my book, actually I'm giving inspiration. And second is that the book itself, it's incredible value. It's all the last 4 years, and I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I've just tried so many different things, learned so many different skills and tools and strategies, and I have everything distilled in that book. So much, the valuable tools and people can use to really help them to transform their life. So when I'm thinking that, wow, this book is packed with value. So I'm really offering a gift to the world. So once I'm shifted to that. I just show up with completely different energy. And with that, I was just excited to talk about my book, to invite people on my live streaming, writing emails, all of that. And eventually I raised almost $9,000. I sold 51 copies, right? And I got a great result. So, but come from a place, is that you have something valuable to offer. And then you stop overthinking and you start showing up with purpose. So it's really have this fundamental belief that you have something valuable to offer. The truth is, you have something valuable to offer. Everyone has something valuable to offer. everyone have such different, unique perspectives and experiences. And what you have experienced, no one else has experienced before. So when you share yours, share your perspective or experiences, and that's your unique value to offer. So never discount that, and truly, truly internalize that. And once you internalize in any occasion, then don't shifting that from it's all about you, it's all about what other people think of you, to really think about how can I serve others, how can I contribute and create value in this situation. And it's a game changer, trust me. Okay, next one is related to that. It's a perfect segue. You have something valuable to offer, is truly believe that you are valuable. And the lesson 6 is you need to feel like you're really owning your strengths. Owning your strengths. If I were to ask you right now, and do you even know what your top strengths are? And do you truly feel proud of that? If you were to ask me this question, even 3 years ago, I wouldn't be able to answer it. And as some of you already, I grew up in China, a small little town in east part of China. And I managed to come all the way to the United States, went to an elite business school, then climbed the corporate ladder to eventually get to a senior executive position. And I was in the room, a lot of meetings. I was one of the very few women in the room, and not to mention the minority women. I have accomplished a lot. I've come a long way, from where I started. But for that many years, I wasn't fully aware what my strengths were. What got me there? I wasn't aware because I was constantly chasing the next thing, the next win, the next title, the next promotion. I never even stopped to truly check in with myself. Like, hey, what got me here? And I really thought it was no big deal. I truly, truly felt it was no big deal. And I didn't see my own greatness and strengths until I became my own boss, become an entrepreneur. Then I realized now, first of all, no structure is able to tell me what I was doing because I have no boss, no performance review, no feedback, no that kind of feedback anymore. And also that the outcome of my business not necessarily reflects the effort, because building a business, it takes time. I would say there's delayed response. You can put a lot of work up front, but you not necessarily see the immediate return. In that process, if you don't have this the confidence from within, if you just look at the external results and outcome, it's very shaky, It's very dangerous because it's not grounded. That's when I really started to go inside and truly, truly internalize, what got me here? And I started asking and observing. First, what got me here? Second is, what comes easily to me, but is difficult for others? And also, I started to really pay attention to the positive feedback that I receive, especially on how I show up, my qualities. So I have a couple of close friends of mine, also my coaches, they kept telling me certain things, saying, hey, Coco, I admire you, just keep doing the hard things. You're so consistent and you don't give up and you're just so brave. And I really pay attention to those feedback. So it's really this process of recognizing what got you here. The qualities, the skills, and experiences. Take time to really recognize. Trust me, it's not luck. You earned it. You earned it. And second is you need to internalize it. Just kind of recognize it, but if you haven't fully internalized it, it's not the same. And because you need to let it sink in as yours. and you earned it. So it's not luck, it's not just timing, it's not just you happened to have a good boss, none of that. And lastly is you need to learn to celebrate it. Celebrate is really just truly allowing yourself to feel proud of yourself. That's really the process I have gone through, and so that's the practice I do on a regular basis. And I allow myself to feel this sense of pride of myself on a daily basis. When I accomplish something, when I do a hard thing, when I overcome a challenge, and I truly like do a little hug of myself and say, I'm proud of you, Coco. Even saying this feeling, emotional, because that's so crucial. Because if you don't own your strengths, then you will keep seeking external validation. Because deep down, you don't believe you're already enough. So that's how confidence leaks out. In order to really build this unshakable confidence, have deep roots, ground you, then you need to own your strengths. And you may ask, how? Don't worry. I'm offering you a practical tool as well. It's in my podcast, episode 27, 2 powerful tools to rewire your confidence from the inside out. And I give you 2 tools, and that 2 tools really teach you how to own your strengths and own your success. So check it out. Okay, now number 7, move on to number 7. 7 is focus on the gain, not the gap. The gain, what is gain? The gain is how far you've come. And the gap is how far you need to go. So be honest, how often do you focus on your gain versus your gap? Because I know I used to just so focused on the gap. I actually never even look at how far I've come. I will always look at how far I have to go. How far I'm from the goal. And how I ended up acting that way, right? You can always trace it back to childhood. I was completely conditioned to do that. And for me, I grew up in a household that bringing home an A was not enough. What had to be A+. Right? Bringing home a 97, no good. It had to be 100. Or you need to be, if you're number 3 in the class, no good. You need to be number 1. So in that kind of environment, I was trained to always look at how far I'm from my goal, right? Am I reaching that or not? If I'm not, that's not enough. You need to keep going. So that was what happened to me. And so especially as an entrepreneur, that's very tricky because there's no clear goal. You set your own goal. There's no clear benchmark. You decide, right? You're your own boss. And I set my own goal. Guess what? What kind of goal I set? Of course, I set very ambitious goals, very unrealistic goals. So last year, I remember, really last year was a first full year as a coach. I was just still so new, figuring things out, but I was doing a lot of different things. And as a new coach, I really, based on the information that I have, I was doing great. I was doing great. I accomplished a lot. And not just in terms of how much revenue it generated, just in terms of the different things I'm doing, right? Email, social media, podcast, I was doing everything. And then the thing is, guess what? Instead of focusing on, wow, how far I've come, how much I've grown, and how much I've matured, all of that, no. I was so fixated on the goal that I set a big goal, and I was pretty far from the goal. And since I was so focused on that, guess how it made me feel? I felt defeated. I felt demoralized. I just felt this sense of heaviness, which is so heavy. And that's what happened, right? When you really just so focus on the gap, not focus on the gain enough. And when I feel defeated and demoralized, guess what I'm showing up? I'm just not showing up the way that I really can attract great clients, right? It actually defeats the purpose. So once I realized that, then I did a major shift at the beginning of this year, and game changer, completely game changer. And I show up just so much lighter. I really celebrate my progress and focus on what are the things I've done well, and just feel so much more uplifting, energizing, and people can feel it. And there's a big difference. Because the key to anything, to your goal, whether you're building a business or not, is not to give up. Because usually, always harder than you think, takes longer than you think. The key is to show up consistently, not give up too early. But if you have the mindset of just focus on the gap, so it's very easy to give up because you will just feel defeated. But if you focus on the gain, you celebrate your progress, then it actually will help you to keep going, because ultimately it's a marathon. This whole life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not what you're able to accomplish in 6 months, a year, 2 years. No, I'm thinking what I'm going to accomplish in the next 10 years or 20 years. So remember that, very important. Focus on the gain, not the gap, and celebrate the progress. Okay, last 3. Next one is embrace failure. Embrace failure. Wow, I used to be even afraid of hearing this word, failure. Just so afraid of failing, just didn't want to take risks. Can you relate to that? With that kind of mindset, then I only wanted to do things that I felt comfortable with and confident about. So that was one of the main reasons I was so afraid of being under the spotlight, being visible, because I could fail. If I say the wrong thing, if I do the wrong thing, if a thing didn't work out my way, guess what? I'm going to get embarrassed. Right? So that's what I was thinking a lot of times. So just play safe, play small. Because I wasn't thinking, just make a mistake. It's just a mistake. No. I was thinking, I am the mistake. Right? I am a failure if I fail. So now, I'm so used to failing. I don't even see it as a failing anymore because I'm doing it on a regular basis. I just completely desensitized it. I post so many social media posts. Now a social media post didn't land. I thought, I spent time, wrote it really well, thought it's going to resonate with people. If it didn't land, no big deal. Okay, move on. Next one. And I'm doing this type of webinars and master classes. If very few people signed up, so what? Keep going, right? Learning from it and keep going. I'm hearing notes from people all the time. Let's say just the book. For instance, I had so many people supported me, but also had many people didn't support me. They literally said no to me. But I didn't take it personally anymore. I'm like, it's not about me. I'm not a failure. It's just, I'm not failing. I'm learning, and I'm not failing. It's just, I'm not familiar. This is something new. When you're doing something new, the first time or first few times, you are going to stumble, fumble, right? And ultimately seeing this process as a process of collecting feedback and collecting data. Once you collect data and feedback, then you can reiterate, then you can get better at it. And you gain so much wisdom from this process. And I'm much wiser person today than when I started this journey 2 years ago because of all the failures, all the mistakes that I've made. And more importantly, is all the wisdom that I've gained. And then another thing is very important, this self-compassion piece is that you need to learn to love yourself, whether you are winning or failing. Because you're failing, it's still you. You are showing up for yourself, right? You need to love yourself regardless. Next one, number 9 is investing in yourself. Investing in yourself. What does it mean to investing in yourself? It's intentionally devote time, energy, money, and effort toward your own growth, well-being, and future. Really, before I started this whole transformation journey 4 years ago, I didn't even know. You know what I mean? Like this whole investing in myself, this concept was a bit foreign to me. Because I was, I grew up in an environment that I was trained to always put others first. Investing in myself almost felt like selfish. And for instance, my transformation journey really started with therapy. I thought about therapy for years, and I was struggling about certain things for years, but it took me years to eventually call my therapist and get help because I wasn't comfortable investing in myself. The time, the money, and the effort, and that was something. If I could change anything in my past, that would be the thing I want to change. I wish I asked for help and invested in myself earlier. Because look, what a different life that I'm living. I would have saved me so much. Just save me all the time and energy and all of this suffering that I endured for years. And so now I continue to invest in myself. It's non-negotiable on my list. So last year I was doing my tax for a couple weeks ago, and I look at how much actually I spent on my coaching. Last year I spent $30,000 on various different kinds of coaching. At the beginning of the year, I joined a business mastermind. For $10,000, 6 months program for $10,000. That was the best money I ever spent. I was so happy to find that program and to spend that money, because before that, I felt quite lost in terms of how to grow my business to the next level. When you feel lost, guess what? You don't have confidence, right? You don't have this belief in yourself you can figure things out. In that case, then you really want to find people who can guide you, who can support you, who can inspire you to find your direction, to find your sense of clarity and confidence. And that's what would happen to me once I invested in that program. And now I just feel so much more clarity and confidence in building my business to the next level. And now I'm renewing the program for another year for $15,000, and I'm just actually so happy to spend that money. So for you, that's something I want to encourage you to think about as well. Like, what are the things you really need to work on, and invest in yourself, because you are your biggest asset. You want to work smarter, not necessarily harder. Maybe you can figure it out by yourself, but it may take much longer. And then you may struggle so much more along the way. But if you can save time, energy, and have someone's long road to be your shortcut, take it. Because it's so worth it. Last one is love the process of becoming. This whole process, this life or building your business or building this unshakable confidence, there's no destination. It's really a process of becoming a bigger, better, and bolder version of yourself. After 2 years of doing countless hard things, overcome so many challenges, and experience, right, so many failures at the same time, also have experienced many successes along the way, that I can say I'm a different person today. I feel more confident, more expansive, and more capable than ever. Even just doing this very LinkedIn Live, I couldn't have done it just 2 months ago. Because 2 months ago, it was the first time ever I did live streaming. And I had to get pushed a little bit because I feel so uncomfortable doing it. And I overcome my fear and eventually took a little bit of, someone's, my peer coaches pushed me, nudged me, and I did it. I only did it for 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes then changed to evolve into, I did it like almost 4 weeks in a row. And that built my confidence so that I have the courage and the confidence to do this today. Right? So it is really about the process of becoming a newer, bolder version of yourself. And the doubt, the fear, still gonna come up. That's just part of the process, because when you grow, you're always going to push your limit. You're always going to an edge, right? Really like meet your edge. And at the edge, you're going to discover the fear that you never even know it was there before. So you are going to constantly face that. But the key is keep going and really ask yourself this one question. This one question has been it's so powerful for me, is that who I am becoming on the other side of this. Who I am becoming on the other side of this. Just imagine this future self, your future self, this bolder, bigger, and more confident version of you on the other side. And also tell you this, you tell yourself this, I am more capable than I think. And you are. Because doing all the things that I'm doing now, I never ever even imagined I could be doing all of these things. I'm way more capable than I think, and you are too. So lastly, I just want to emphasize, confidence is not just a feeling, it's a belief. And it's not just an innate quality, it's a practice. It's a practice. The practice is committed, it's a commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. So not only that you say you're just being a boss, or more important, you're gonna feel like a boss, whether you have a boss or not, because you are your own boss of your life and you are in control. And that's the beautiful thing about life, and that's really the process of building this unshakable confidence. Okay, so we are a little bit over, and let's see if I have any questions. Well, Okay, before I end this, just one last thing. One last thing is, first, I want to like you to reflect to see what is the one key takeaway for you. What is your one key takeaway? What is this one action you want to take here in this class? The next thing is that if you are truly ready to build this unshakable confidence, and I invite you to take the next step with me. And I invite you to join my one-on-one VIP coaching program. In this 3-month program, I take you in this process, laser focused, accelerate process, and step by step, and help you to transform. The steps that it took for me to transform will help you to transform. As I said, it's an accelerated, laser focused process, and help you to really get incredible results. And all the things I will be teaching you about are the things that I've learned in the last 4 years through all the coaching therapy that I have done, hundreds of books, and then just thousands of hours of a study, and I really also worked with a few dozens of clients and helped them to get the incredible transformation, right? Help them overcome their doubt to build their unshakable confidence. And so my long road will become your shortcut. And you might be thinking, well, I'm not sure coaching is right for me. It's a big, could be, it's an investment. So that's why I make the next step is really easy for you. You just need to, I offer a 45 minutes free consultation. And on this call is not a sales call. It's a clarity call. And you will get clear on where you are now and where you want to go, and what's the gap and what's holding you back. And I'll map out a personalized plan for you. Then we will see if we're a good fit, right? Great fit. If we decide to work together, that's fantastic. I'm just thrilled to support you. But if we decide not to work together, you're still going to walk away with powerful insights to help you to move forward. So schedule that call with me. You can just email me at coco@cocoduancoaching.com. And with that, I thank you for joining this masterclass, and thank you for celebrating with me 2 years of being my own boss. More importantly, is the 2 years of learning to feel like my own boss and building this unshakable confidence. And I invite you to continue the journey with me and build your own unshakable confidence, so that give you the fuel for your vision, your dream, and really transform your life.